into terminal count and watch as Falcon 9 transports the U.S. Space Force's GPS-3 Space Vehicle number 5 satellite into orbit.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And liftoff. Go Falcon, go GPS.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Stage 1 chamber pressures are nominal.
T plus 36 seconds. SpaceX launch engineers report nominal conditions on Falcon 9. We begin the trip to space carrying the GPS-3 satellite. Merlin engine's about to throttle down. We're in the throttle bucket.
Telemetry.
Decreasing acceleration in preparation for maximum dynamic pressure. Great views looking aft towards Cape Canaveral.
Vehicle is supersonic.
We're throttled back up to full power. We're out of the throttle bucket and we're supersonic. Now from here on, even though velocity is rapidly increasing, the atmospheric density is decreasing. And that's resulting on less loads on the Falcon 9. And you've heard the call out, we're through max Q, so the loads are now decreasing on the launch vehicle.
MVAC engine chill has started.
That call out says the bleed valve on second stage engine is open, and that's beginning a final chill of the MVAC engine prior to second stage ignition. All's looking good with the stage 1 trajectory. And we've got 3 events coming up in quick succession. We're going to have main engine cutoff, MECO as we call it. The first and second stages will then separate. And then we will have ignition of the second stage engine to propel Falcon 9 into the first parking orbit. We're beginning to throttle down the first stage engines to hold 4G constant acceleration, coming up on main engine cutoff.
MECO.
Stage separation confirmed.
And we've got, as you can hear the cheering in the background, successful stage separation. Second stage is now under power of the single Merlin vacuum engine. You may have noticed some curved pieces of metal come off the end of the nozzle right after ignition. That's normal. These are ground handling tubes.
Vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
They're not needed in flight. We hear the call out. We're following nominal trajectory. With the left side of your screen, you can see the first stage grid fins. The titanium grid fins have deployed. Coming up next, fairing separation.
Acquisition of signal, PoMonkey.
Bearing separation confirmed.
A nice view from the second stage camera showing successful fairing deploy as Falcon 9 is passing through 110 kilometers altitude. Now we will be attempting to retrieve these new fairing halves with the help of our contracted recovery vessel, HOS Briarwood. Now currently Falcon 9 second stage heading northeast along the U.S. coast. We are sending telemetry down through the SpaceX Bermuda ground station.
Both vehicles continue to follow nominal
trajectory. Now as we pass 4 minutes and 20 seconds into flight, all systems are go.
Acquisition signal, Bermuda.
As Falcon 9 carries GPS into space.
It's T plus 4 minutes and 45 seconds here into today's mission, and we're currently in the first of 2 planned MVAC burns for satellite deployment. You can see from the live views on your right, the second stage MVAC engine is burning, and there on your left is a live view of the Falcon 9 first stage as it's preparing to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. At T plus 6 minutes and 18 seconds, you should see on your screen the first stage's entry burn. This is in just about a minute. This burn will last about 30 seconds.
Acquisition signal, New Hampshire.
And for the entry burn, we relight the center E9 engine on the first stage, and then partway through, we relight the E1.
Both vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
And E5 engines. So we will have a total of 3 M1D engines helping to slow the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. You can see a great live look at that Falcon 9 first stage there as it's coasting back down. Now, the Falcon 9 supporting today's mission will perform this entry burn for the second time, and both fairing halves will re-enter for the first time. This booster previously supported the November 2020 GPS-3 mission, and we're pretty excited to watch today's landing because it marks the first mission we're supporting for the U.S. Space Force with a flight-proven booster. Now, entry burn will start in just a few seconds here. Listen for the call out.
Stage 1 flight termination system is safe.
Stage 1, entry burn has started.
You heard the call out, and you can see on your screen, stage 1 entry burn has started. This burn lasts about 30 seconds.
Stage 1, entry burn, shutdown.
We did have a successful stage 1 entry burn there. And now, while Falcon 9
Both vehicles continue to follow nominal trajectories.
While Falcon 9 makes its way back to Earth, you may notice that there are different soot markings on the outer covering of the rocket. You can maybe just see them on your screen on the left there. Now, if you've ever wondered how these markings are formed, the soot is generated when the carbon-based rocket-grade kerosene, or RP1, burns. And since our reentry occurs engines first, the booster flies through its own plume, which deposits the soot on the rocket there. Now, coming up next will be our landing burn, which will be at T plus 8 minutes and 7 seconds. This will also last about 30 seconds, and it will hopefully land our first stage on our drone ship. Just read the instructions.
Stage 1 is transonic.
Off the Atlantic coast. You heard the call out that stage 1 is now transonic.
Stage 2 has entered terminal guidance.
Now, just 1 second after the start of the landing burn, we will actually have second engine cutoff
Stage 2 flight termination system is safe.
on the second stage on the right. So both coming up in just a few seconds here.
Stage 1, landing burn has started.
You can see that stage 1 entry burn,
Seco 1.
landing burn, and Seco 1. There's the first stage coming in.
Landing legs are deployed.
Nominal parking orbit.
Stage 1, landing confirmed.
What a beautiful view of that first stage landing. And we did get a confirmation from our second stage of a nominal orbit. You can hear the cheering in the background. Everyone's really excited. We did, again, have a confirmation of a nominal orbital insertion. And of course, we saw that beautiful landing of our Falcon 9 first stage on our drone ship, just to read the instructions. And there you have it. You've just witnessed Falcon 9's 19th landing for this year and SpaceX's 88th overall successful recovery of a first stage. And now at this time, our mission isn't over just yet. The second stage is now embarking on its first coast phase. Coasting in this orbit will last about 53 minutes, and then we'll relight that MVAC engine for a second time shortly after at T plus 1 hour and 2 minutes. We'll see you back here at
signal, Newfoundland.
1 hour and 3 minutes.
Expected loss of signal Bermuda and Po Monkey. Expected loss of signal New Hampshire. Expected loss of signal Newfoundland. Acquisition of signal Goonhilly. acquisition signal open here.
LDA. I also say safety already left. They already told me they have no reportable items as well. Seemed like it was a relatively clean count. Though we had the Doppler wind issue. I overheard some chatter on the bids, but it sounded like that came back up as well. I don't have any items to pass along on the bottom line. The weather turned out to be in our favor, which is great, but great communications. LDA. Okay, how about now? Rock, this is LDA. Can you hear me?
Expected lossless signal Green Hilly and O'Connor. Acquisition of signal, Diego Garcia. and expected loss of signal to Yucca Garcia.
Welcome back to the webcast of the Falcon 9 mission carrying GPS-3 Space Vehicle number 5 for the U.S. Space Force. We've had a nominal mission so far. Falcon 9 lifted off on time at 12:09 p.m. Eastern from Cape Canaveral Space Launch Complex 40. 2.5 minutes later, we separated our first and second stages. Now, the second stage completed its first burn, placing the Falcon 9 and the GPS into the desired parking orbit. As you can see from the timeline at the bottom of the screen, we're approaching the second burn of the MVAC engine, and that will carry Falcon 9 and GPS to the orbit needed to deploy the satellite. Now, the burn's coming up in about 20 seconds. Currently, Falcon 9 second stage, we're chilling in the engine, getting ready for ignition. We're settling propellants.
MVAC ignition.
And we've got ignition of the second stage engine. Niobium nozzle starting to glow red hot as normal. Now this burn is planned to last 44 seconds. And during that time, we're going to add 2 kilometers per second to our velocity. You can see the gauge on the bottom right of the screen showing stage 2 is quickly gaining speed. That 2 kilometers per second will equal out to 7,000 kilometers per hour being added to our velocity. And this is going to change the orbit from a 400 kilometer apogee to one with a 20,000 kilometer apogee. Throttling down the engine, preparing for shutdown.
MVAC shutdown.
Okay, we've got shutdown. We're waiting to hear from the guidance officer.
Nominal orbit insertion.
And we've got a nominal orbit insertion. Now, as a reminder, the GPS satellite is still attached to Falcon 9's second stage. Payload deployment is timed to occur once the orbit takes us into range of one of the Space Force satellite ground stations, one in Hawaii, one in California. Once we reach this point, the Falcon 9 flight computer will command release of the GPS satellite. Now, currently we're getting data through Tasmania, so it's going to take us about 25 minutes until the orbit climbs into sight of the ground stations. Satellite separation will then occur at approximately T+1 hour and 29 minutes. Now, while we wait for this next milestone, I have a short video from the satellite manufacturer Lockheed Martin. It'll highlight some of the new capabilities of the spacecraft. Take a look, and we'll see you back here at T+1 hour and 28 minutes for satellite separation.
Acquisition signal, Tasmania.
MVAC engine chill has started.
loss of signal, Tasmania.
there, 25th century AD. We sat there and looked at a rocket from Mars, and you just boggled the mind and mind and mind and mind. And the technology caught up, didn't it?
signal, Hawaii. Acquisition signal, Cook.
Welcome back to our launch coverage for the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission for the U.S. Space Force. If you're just joining us, we had an on-time launch at 12:09 p.m. Eastern, followed by a successful ascent, stage separation, first stage landing, and 2 second stage engine burns. We have just one more major milestone coming up to complete today's mission, which of course is the deployment of the GPS-3 satellite from Falcon 9's second stage, which will happen here in just under a minute at T+1 hour, 29 minutes, and 20 seconds. Currently, we are in view of the customer ground stations at Hawaii and California, which are necessary to reach prior to deployment. Now, in the 20 or so minutes since we've been coasting, we have increased quite a bit in altitude from our last burn, from about 420 kilometers now all the way up to over 4,000 kilometers. You can see those beautiful live views from our second stage. And let's listen in to hear that call out and watch for GPS-3 separation from our second stage here in just a few seconds.
Payload separation confirmed.
You can see in that beautiful video and heard the confirmation that we did have a successful payload deployment there. And for those watching, you are witnessing a successful deployment of the GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5. And with that successful deployment, that now brings our webcast to a close.
Great views from the camera on the second stage of Falcon 9 as we watch GPS-3, number 5, heading away from the vehicle, on its way to do its mission. We'd like to thank the U.S. Space Force for entrusting us with today's GPS-3 Space Vehicle 5 mission. SpaceX is one of 2 certified providers for national security space launch missions, and we're proud to be able to offer reliable, cost-effective launch services to the U.S. Space Force. We look forward to supporting the next GPS mission that's targeted for liftoff next year. Also, we send thanks this afternoon to the Space Force's Space Launch Delta 45 for range support. SpaceX will be observing Juneteenth this weekend, a historic holiday that commemorates the emancipation of those who had been enslaved in the United States. And we would also like to wish all the dads out there a happy Father's Day. Thanks for tuning in and have a great weekend.